got one. Pouch twist. It's become all the rage lately. Ever since Daryl Doogie started shooting his pickle forks and just upsetting the whole world how great he is. So.
It's awesome.
Who twists their
I don't find it makes a difference for me. On a pickle fork,
how many people here twist their pouch?
Have to on a pickle fork. If you value your hand and you value your slingshot, you gotta twist it.
I twist
on
my
regular slingshot, I don't see any difference.
I'm with Philly there. With a pickle fork, it's absolutely necessary, and I just got in the last couple of weeks to where I can shoot where I enjoy a pickle fork shooter, where I can actually achieve accuracy with it. And the other night we were out shooting in the dark, and we were shooting at cans. Well, Bill was with me. We were throwing cans up in just the moonlight and street lights, and trying to shoot. And we were hitting, and I was into it, and I forgot I was shooting a pickle fork shooter, and I just drew back just like I normally do, and didn't have a twist, and I cracked that fork one time after another. But you know, once I paid attention to twisting it, it doesn't matter what I do out here. I don't have to flip. I can be static out here. As long as I twist the fork, it goes over. And I proved that by doing the flat strap. I mean, and the first time I tried flat strap, I did not twist it, and I think there's still some scar tissue there in that knuckle.
What does a twist do?
I don't know. It's magic. That's all I know. It's magic. I mean, John, do you have an opinion?
I seen it on the.
Yeah, I mean, I shoot it with depending on the fork because I mean, it's high enough and it doesn't play a factor. If it's low, then if you twist it, it's not going to hit it. I wonder if, I don't know if you tweak your thumb up, if it somehow raises the trajectory, but I don't really know.
I don't know, but it absolutely is.
Rifling effect.
Mystery of release.
We'll file that under the same kind of mystery as when you hit our band and 3/4 of the way and you're still hitting the bullseye.
Yeah, and Gary and I were talking the other day, like we both noticed during our shooting steel that was shooting consistently, nothing wrong with our bands, nothing different in our release. We both noticed one arc. Why does that happen?
Every once in a while, get a curve.
A steel ball will arc.
That Sandy Koufax would be jealous of. That's how I'm not. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
So I think that's what keeps us coming back. But
Yeah. Trying to figure out the mysteries.
but I mean, I think we can probably all agree here that all of shooting, 90% of shooting accuracy is in your pouch hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once everything's stable out here, you can get away with murder out here. But the littlest change back here.
And now you're saying that, I do that too, and I always thought that. And then you go to Rufus Hussey, who arguably
was pointing.
He was always saying, he said, it don't matter where you put this one, or put with this one up there. And this guy is hitting bugs off of branches, and I'm going, good God. He's got no same anchor. It doesn't look like a same anchor. Everybody's taught to keep the anchor in there tight and same anchor point. I don't think there's any hard, steady, fast rules. I think you know. These guys just, you know, you see these guys shoot. I mean, it's, I don't know.
And like DeGuy, who can shoot rocks faster than any of us can shoot steel.
Yeah. Have you seen his fast throw video?
It's unbelievable.
With rocks.
Unbelievable. Rocks, marbles, 1-inch marbles.
So, and I think, you know, what he's always saying is the feel you develop of the projectile in the pouch. And I've really been noticing that over the last 5 or 6 months myself as a shooter. When I come to full draw, I've become more aware of what's going on between these two fingers and how much you automatically compensate for it. And I didn't realize it really until I was shooting with Ray. And he pointed out to me, he's like, Nathan, you notice every time you shoot that your pouch is not even, but I was still hitting great. And I was thinking, well, that's not right. You know, so I really started paying attention to when I draw, how that all feels. And for me, more than anything, is if my thumb is anything but straight, I've got a high likelihood of throwing that shot. So when I teach new people, I'm like, you know,
Straight thumb.
This is important over here. Releasing over here is important, but the most important is the straight thumb.
But you twist with a standard fork too.
Yeah, you do.
I twist to some degree. I've always twisted about 45. I've started going almost completely up right now.
Yeah.
And because I started shooting tubes for a while.
Yeah.
But I went back to days shooting flats and was just drawing back like I normally did, putting my thumbnail on my face, and I didn't see a change.
I always remember what Bill Harriman said. Bill Harriman always said, you pull that pouch back, you hold it as if you were holding a butterfly. And try to do that. Of course, every time I try, it flips out of my hand. But it's the truth. It's like you said, keep that thumb straight and hold it nice and light away. You know, you're not going to twist it or anything. It's still a learning process, man. Every time we're out here. I never tire of it. I never tire of it.
Now, I mean, if we don't have any more questions, I'd say we just go shoot.
I was thinking the same thing. You know, let's talk about it. You know.
Yeah.
Aimers are instinctive.
Whoa.
That's a good
Where
one,
you
man.
I
That's
wanna
a good
open
one.
up that can of
I want to be an
worms,
instinctive.
and people start laying down the Fred Bear and Howard Hill.
Well, Howard Hill wasn't real. He was a Hollywood star. Fred Bear was just Fred Bear.
Yeah. It's a tough card. I mean, it's a tough one.
I've tried to do it both ways, and it seems like when you're in the zone, it seems to come around. But I seem to spray a lot more.
I think it comes down, this is purely my opinion, so yes, not to this for only my opinion. But I'm cross dominant. I'm right eye dominant, but I hold the slingshot in my right hand. I shoot a bow holding it in my left hand so that everything lines up properly with my eye dominance. I don't know why I do it that way. I can shoot a slingshot both ways, but it feels more natural to hold it in my right hand, even though I'm right eye dominant. So with that said, I have a hard time aiming because if I pull back and I'm trying to use the bands as a reference point,
He's got the same problem we're
I've got my
talking about.
non-dominant
so do
eye over the bands. So I think that's what Blue's done, and I've been trying to get Blue to teach me how
Yeah,
he
we're going
learned
to
to aim.
blame you. It's all your fault.
You know, Blue and I are the same way. We're both right eye dominant, but shoot holding the slingshots in our right hand. And he came up shooting instinctive, and he didn't learn to aim until way late in his career. But once he learned to aim, then it was on. And you know, I can hold a slingshot in my left hand using my right eye dominance and sight down the bands, and it feels so awkward. It feels like it's just horrible. But, I can do it. So I think, as far as aiming versus instinctive, if you're going to aim and really truly aim and use the bands as a sight plane and the tip of the fork as a gap shooting instrument like you would in archery, then you need to work with your eye dominance. I think you have to work according to your eye dominance. Then everything that is a cross dominant thing, where you're shooting, holding it with your right hand and being right eye dominant, there's an intuitive relationship going on there because you're shooting it the same way every time, and you just allow your brain's microprocessors to pull you over. Because there's no way to really, I mean, you have visual reference points, but it's not like I can put the tip of my fork here at 20 yards and know that I'm on. So that's my theory on aiming versus intuitive or instinctive.
Yeah, I shoot with forks straight up vertical too, and always have. So it's just a matter of, again, looking down through the
And
throat.
are you looking down, is the ammo coming underneath your dominant eye?
It's under my right eye, yeah. Actually, my anchor point is right under my right eye. I just take it to just the base of my nostril so that the bands are in the center of the fork. So the pouch is directly centered in the fork, looking straight down through the barrel.
And one thing, back to your short fork question, one thing I've been playing with, and this comes from my archery background, and my forks have been getting shorter and shorter. But I feel like, you know, I've heard a lot of folks say, kinesthetic researchers say that we have this internal awareness because of our relationship, and we know where our bodies are in space. Like, you know, we have the ability to reach behind our back and scratch something that itches and touch it the very first time. We don't have to see it to touch it because we know where our hand is in relation to our body. We have that same relationship with where we point out there, so if we could install a laser pointer in the tip of our finger, we've got a pretty well built-in sighting mechanism that we correct for parallax with our two eyes and point to something, and we can shoot a laser beam out of it. So with that being the case, if you can get your bands or your projectile in line with your finger, and that's just like archers. Archers are constantly looking to bring the arrow along the sight plane of that finger. So by getting your bands really low, when you draw back, your bands are in line with your finger. Higher prongs, then you'll compensate for it. But what I think this does is just allows you to be really intuitive and point. And everything's kind of lining up on that finger. So I mean, crazy Mike right
high
now.
grip, yeah. That's high grip.
But a high grip accommodates that.
Yeah.
So, but then again, for folks that are aimers, I don't think the high grip's as important from an aiming point of view because you still got the bands there as your sighting mechanism, your reference point, your third-party reference point. Whereas when you're an intuitive shooter, and this is purely my interpretation of it, I trust that everything going on behind this hand is being done on its own. My conscious focus, everything that's going on here, from here forward to the target, is all about the target. My realm of awareness is beyond me. I'm trusting that me is doing it the same way every time. Whereas I think an aimer is sitting here looking, okay, I've got a reference point here. I'm checking in with the bands. I'm checking in with the target. I'm checking in with the bands. Where are we in between there? Does that look right?
I think instinctive is better.
I mean,
I
yeah,
just
I
I just think it's more
Yeah, it's about
natural.
there.
I just like it. I just like instinctive. I originally started as instinctive, then I went to aiming. I can't do instinctive. I just look at some of these videos, guys, bang, 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 bang. You ain't aiming. If you were a hunter, instinctive all the way. I mean, you know, you ain't got the time.
And we saw that with Blue today out,
really.
of course.
Yeah, he can do both ways. He's amazing. He can do instinctive and aiming.
I hunted in Michigan
I'm shooting
quite
at
a
a
few
spot
years
with the
ago.
target.
We hunted. I shot
Pinpoint.
half-inch lead ball.
Concentrate on
They
one
used gum rubber.
single
That's all I
spot.
knew
Here
at
over
the
there.
time. And I shot strictly by instinct. And people asked me, well, how do you aim? I said, well, my biggest question was, you ever play any basketball? They said, yeah. I said, well, how do you aim? They said, you look at the goal. I said, that's what I do when I hunt. I look at what I'm shooting at. And you'll develop a feel for it after a while.
That's what he says. You don't have a sight when you're throwing a baseball at something, do you?
It's right. It's true. Both eyes open, one eye closed.
Instinct, both eyes open.
That's it. I think it's better both eyes open.
And
I'm
I'm-
trying to do it myself. Keep
Everything
both eyes
you read,
open.
they try to teach you to shoot with your dominant eye. My dominant eye is my right eye.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable shooting a slingshot right-handed, so I shoot left-handed. I close my right eye.
Really? That's
And-
amazing.
Only when he aims, though.
Huh?
Only when you aim. You only close your
Yeah,
eye when you aim.
Only when you
Oh,
aim.
okay.
But
And today when
I
we were on
hunt,
the course, he was not
I
aiming.
keep
Yeah.
both eyes open.
Okay.
I can't aim. I've tried it
And I
a
shoot
dozen
archery
times.
the other
So
way. I
goddamn
shoot archery
awkward for me.
right-handed,
And shoot
slingshot
gangster
left-handed.
style. It's just very
You're
uncomfortable.
kidding.
I can't
That's
do it.
No.
amazing.
That's what's comfortable for me.